I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just give me good to the tank.
I am the tank, big
Big
tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Tank. Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Big Tank Talk. Today, I get to introduce to you a very special friend. She's an amazing person, and she is Riley Rebecca, 17. Riley, welcome to Big Tank Talk.
Thank you for having me.
It is an honor to have you here, trust me. Now, every guest gets the same first question. That's tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be on Clapper.
About me, with Clapper, I came here for political content, obviously, only because TikTok was censoring and doing all after going through so many accounts. You know, after that, when they started Clapper, they just brought us here, and I've just been here ever since.
Okay, and you came here when?
2020.
2020, me too. Anyway, one thing that stuck out when I started going, and I do deep dive every guest content. What is SLM News?
Southern Loudmouth.
Is that something you created?
It was too long, so I just shortened it to SLM.
Oh, I get it. I like it.
Yep.
Now, I notice all of your almost all of your content is directly or indirectly politically oriented. Is that by design? Okay.
Yeah, basically.
So let's just now the political question is going to be all over the place because I went based off some of the videos I was looking at, and you've got a lot of them. But so let's start with a really basic question. Do you do respect the office as President of the United States, correct?
Yes.
Do you believe it? Do you believe it's proper or even patriotic to criticize people that hold the office?
I think criticism is what builds people, and nobody's perfect, so if we don't see the differences and everybody thinks the same, then we got a bigger problem. So there's going to be differences with many different things.
Okay. Now, being
So
somebody.
in a sense of, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead and finish your answer, and I got another question.
But in a way, I would say I would respect the office, just maybe not the decisions or certain people that are within it.
Right. I agree. I think it's very American to criticize our elected leaders when they deserve the criticism. And they don't always deserve it, but I think it all evens out.
It does.
What is your take on QAnon?
Well, that's a big thing, or not big, but in my sense, with the way that the media portrays it, it's just misinformation. But in my sense of being part of that community, it's, you know, they gave us a topic and we go research it. It's like going down rabbit holes, and it just continues and keeps going and going. Like the research never stops. I just think it's not to really educate, but to give you like key points to educate yourself.
Right. Lena says, what platform do you think censors you less when it comes to your political videos?
Clapper.
Yeah, I do understand that. It's not, they don't, when I started, I was very political on here. And you remember back in I think it was early 2021, they decided they didn't want such blatantly political content. And they sent out a
Yep.
message for everybody, take down your real political. Well, I took down several videos. They took down 8 more and then took down my first account. So
Well, even during that time, I've ever only had 2 violations through Clapper since I came here, and
believe it
that
or not,
was over people reporting. Wasn't really the app.
they didn't ever give me violations. They just took eight of my videos down without explanation. And then the next day they took my account. So Tina wants to know how you feel about AI. Good
I
question,
don't
Tina.
trust it. I don't trust it at all, but I also understand we need to know our enemy. I think AI is something like we got these people out here talking to this thing, and it's literally just collecting, your insight, and it's collecting from everybody. I think and the fact that it's free should be even more scary. It's
Right.
really just to get inside the mind of people because they can't just take us all one at a time. And, well, I mean, they could if they really wanted to, but it's a collective way, in my opinion. I think it's dangerous.
I will go a step further. I think AI also steals from truly creative people.
Hmm.
Because you can tell AI to do this or create that, and it doesn't, like Tina's a painter and she's a finger painter. What she does is truly original. But you can get AI to recreate something like that. And to me, that's not art. What Tina does is art. And I think it's just I got a
Agreed.
lot of issues with AI personally, and that's just one of them.
Hmm.
Howard the Duckiest says, do you trust Mike Johnson?
No, I don't.
Let me ask it that question, similar to that question in a different way. Do you trust any politician?
No,
Good answer.
I don't trust Democrat or Republican. Independent, or maybe more independent. I don't know, depends on the person, but I don't trust anybody in politics.
With regard to AI, do you think they should have stricter laws when it comes to taking your images and such?
In a way, I don't know. I just don't think AI should be around. Period. I think it's just another thing to destroy humanity, but probably. I don't know. It would be a tough call.
Right. American Truth wants to know: do you think arrests should start happening?
Oh yeah, I'm tired of hearing the talking.
Right. It's time. Talking does not equal accountability, and we're past due for the time for accountability. I agree with you on that.
Agreed.
All right, like I told you, politically it's going to be all over the place. So
You're fine.
I'd like to get your opinion on immigration in the United States in general.
As a broad topic or anything like specific?
Just in general, the subject of immigration in America. I asked that knowing that my grandmother immigrated from Italy.
I think it's a good idea in a way, as long as they come here legally. Like, I think in ways, it's ways we can, as Americans, can learn from, different places. No, not to come here to integrate here, but just the experience and get to knowing different people and being diverse about it. So as long as they come here legally, I think it's a good idea. Follow their dreams, do whatever
And
they want, as long as it's the right way.
now I know everybody knows immigrants in the past, and they were legal immigrants. They came here and wanted to assimilate to the American way of life. Now, that doesn't remove the fact that you have little pockets like Little Italy and New York and Philadelphia, Baltimore, and in the big cities.
Yeah.
And you get those little pockets of people because you're going to congregate with what you know. But do you think, given how things, do you think there should be a requirement to assimilate if you want to immigrate to the United States?
Well, yeah, you got to go through the whole process and go through, uh, words. Um, the testing and stuff, and have good intentions for coming here.
Right.
Do what they do to, like, if we want to move to another country, we got to go through a whole bunch of stuff and know a lot. But coming here, it just seems very lenient, which I get it. We're the land of the free in that sense, but it's also a security reason as well. If you don't have good intentions with coming here, don't come.
Absolutely. Welcome in, Gangster Granny. I did see you come in. And Martha, Country Girl Princess, good to see you. In general, what do you do for work? If you can say, if you don't want to say, that's fine.
Was social media influence, but here I've stepped back a lot. But that's really all I can say to that extent.
No problem. I do know in talking with you that you have in the past been a medic / firefighter. Was that a fulfilling job when you did it, or is there a reason you don't do that anymore?
I can't do it anymore because I was training to be a flight medic, and with the brain aneurysm, and I don't have my skull, so I am technically a flight risk and a liability. So for being a firefighter and a medic, that's kind of out of the job description because there's nothing protecting it.
How did you find out about the brain aneurysm?
I kind of knew something was wrong growing up, like a lot of migraines to the point that I would black out and, be sick all the time. And so went to many doctors and they're like, oh, she's just an over exaggerated kid. So when I finally turned 18, I went and found somebody that could tell me what was going on. And so come with all the scans and stuff, that's where they found it.
Scrapple Pie Returns says, do you believe the United States government is compromised and controlled by Israel?
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say Israel, but we are compromised. Like our government shot, in my opinion.
Yes, and put it in more crass terms. I think our government's been bought and paid for years. So
I don't think it's particularly Israel, but somebody's controlling it. Somebody's got a hand in it.
Ducky wants to know, how is homeschool going and how can parents get into it? Great question, Ducky.
Depending on your state, like Texas is basically I gotta call it a free state. I don't have to report to anybody, no STAR testing or, end of year testing, that kind of thing. It's very lenient here in the state of Texas, and I would highly encourage you, no matter what state you're in, you get your kids out of public school.
I agree. And Tabby homeschools Lizzie, so we also agree with that for a multitude of reasons. Do you believe the government controls the weather?
Absolutely.
So you also,
I don't think anybody can change my mind on that.
You also believe that a lot of the severe weather phenomena are man-made then, that we've been having recently?
And it started when I survived my first tornado outbreak, which was 2011, that went through Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, because that's when I still lived in Tennessee. And I survived that outbreak because it wiped out my entire hometown. And then also having to work the, search and rescues and stuff like that. After looking into it, like something wasn't right about it. And the way that the warnings had went out back then is way more advanced now. But to me, it just wasn't right. And it didn't seem natural the way that it occurred. And that's where I started looking more into the weather and got more, I guess, interested in the weather, seeing the heartbreak that came from my hometown.
Tina wants to know, what's your favorite dinosaur?
Pterodactyl or a T-Rex? Is a pterodactyl a dinosaur? Yeah, that's a dinosaur.
It's a flying dinosaur, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Or a T-Rex.
Good question, Tina. I like that. Now, you said you discovered your brain aneurysm fairly young. It's safe to say that you've never served in the military then?
Nope.
but
Was
you
going
do,
to, but that definitely ruined that chance.
but you have been part of a military family, correct?
Yeah, and also was married into the military. Yeah. Right.
So are you a supporter of military?
Yes.
That's good to know.
Maybe not. Maybe not the things that go on within it, like policy wise. I think it's ridiculous, but in most part, yeah.
All right. This is a two-part question that comes directly from your content. First one is, how would you define the American dream?
Mm, you want my true opinion? It's an illusion.
Okay.
um, they do sell. I think they sell a lie because that's a that's a question in itself.
I know we could probably spend a lot. We could probably spend at least this hour just talking on that topic.
Yeah.
And I told you I'm going to briefly touch on a lot of stuff. The other part of that question was to ask you if you believe in the American dream, but I think you pretty well answered that already.
I do. I still believe in the American dream based on our original foundings and our Constitution. And yeah, it's probably needs some reevaluating, I think, for modern times, but I still do believe in it. We just have to get back to the way that we were founded from.
So Truth wants to know, have we been groomed as kids until the internet came along?
Yeah. And I still think they're still being groomed even with the internet here. And I think it's far worse with the internet here.
I think
I
the
think the
internet makes
internet
it a
is
lot
going along.
easier. Yeah.
It does. We have everything in the palm of our hand, with we used to be computers and now our phones, everything is in our pocket. But I still think it's dangerous.
Do you believe or still believe that on a large scale, children are still being exploited in this country, if not around the world?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
what do you think has to happen for that to stop? Welcome in, Paula.
Honestly, start hanging them in town square. Don't put them in jail. Get rid of them. And I know that's kind of harsh and inhumane, but I don't care because you harm a child, you hurt their innocence. And that's the one thing none of us can ever get back is that. Once it's gone, it's gone.
I can't disagree with that. That's a good answer. Ducky wants to know, what are your thoughts on aliens?
Take me. If take me away. Come get me.
Do you believe aliens are real? Do they exist?
Not in the way that they put in movies, but it'd be really small-minded to think that we were the only ones here or out there.
I would put it another way, Riley. I say it's the height of human arrogance to think we're the only ones out there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Tina wants to know, do you have a favorite artist?
No. What do you mean artists? Like music, paintings? Is there a specific art
She says
you're looking
paint
for?
artist, painters.
I don't know if it's like a southern thing, but it's like Thomas Kincaid. It'd probably be my favorite. I love his pieces. I think they're really pretty.
I like Thomas Kincaid. Some of my favorite artists are right here on Clapper, just so you know. And Tina is one.
Oh,
Now,
my bad. And Tina.
given just basing this question is just based on some of the answers you've given already, are you a homesteader?
Yep.
And
Or
the reason
in
for
the
that?
process of still building. Doing the research, going back to 2020, and you asked about the QAnon thing earlier, and so going down all those rabbit holes and then getting to the food part of it and researching what is actually in our food and what we're actually being sold. We're basically paying to poison ourselves.
Right. So you grow your own food then?
Working on it.
If you don't mind me asking, what are some of the things you're trying to grow or growing right now?
I'm trying to focus on the main things that like me and my me and my kids eat, like lettuce, tomatoes, like tons of pizza sauce. Like I got 3 kids, so tons of pizza sauce.
Right.
Things like that, spaghetti sauces, squash, okra, a lot of herbs. Since also I'm trying to move into, medicinal and holistic medicine instead of modern pharmaceutical medicine.
So you said part of the things that led you to be at home. So you believe American food is being poisoned?
Absolutely.
I can't disagree. And talking with some of my friends that aren't Americans, I'm pretty sure they agree with you as well. I get your question in a minute, Lena. Just to follow up, so you believe it's not only important but absolutely vital that we learn to become self-reliant and not depend on government or
Yeah.
and
That was the to me, that I think that was the whole point, is to try to get everybody to depend on government, and we moved away from ourselves.
right.
Now, back then yards used to be full of gardens, like you had 1 acre and it's front and back as gardening, and now it's all these pretty decorations and everything to distract you from taking care of yourself and depending on yourself.
Absolutely. Um, Lena says, what are 3 things you wish the younger generation would understand better?
Oh goodness. Mm, mm, Not everything you're taught is probably true in school. That one I have no idea how to answer that one.
I
Mm.
I get that. I would yeah. I think kids they ought to know, that most of the existence of our country, uh, we were self-reliant. We did, farms were prosperous and many. My grandfather was a farmer. Um, we ate better. We ate less crap. Less processed food. But then the food that was grown, you didn't have to. It didn't have to be classified organic to know you're getting something without a bunch of crap added to it. And I think that should be something kids ought to be able to taught, and they ought to be taught how to plant, how to uh, how to hunt, how to fish, and how to learn how to survive. You know, just
And
my
I think
personal
like
opinion.
I think I was one of like the last generations to have home ec and automotive class and things like that. I don't think they do those anymore.
I don't
I
think
don't
so
think they
either.
did it with my
I know they had it when
I
I
don't
was
think
in
they did it
school,
with
but
my
I am a
youngest
bit
one.
older than you. So. Howard the Duckiest says,
I'm
"Do you believe?"
33, so
Well, I'm 62, so I am a bit older.
well, yeah, I know, but I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of when they actually stopped doing, the home ec and teaching life skills in schools. I can't even.
Ducky wants to know if you believe in true anarchy.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Tina says, "How do you feel about the nudity and sexual harassment creators get on this app?"
Well, they need to just go on somewhere and have more respect for themselves. That shit's trashy and it doesn't need to be on this app. It's not what it started with. I don't give a shit if Clapper thinks it's just for money. I don't care. They need to fucking go, in my opinion. They got Pornhub or whatever else they have for that stuff.
I want to back up. I missed a question that Ducky asked. She wants to know who you think will be the first one arrested.
First one arrested.
I would modify it and say, who do you think should be the first one arrested?
Mm, Hillary, Obama. I don't know. I'd probably say Obama. No, because he's in the spotlight right now. It's somebody that's not in the spotlight, but it's somebody big. Hillary, maybe. I don't know. It could be any number of them.
Scrapple Pie asked, do you believe the United States and its NATO allies have advanced illegally towards Russia?
Probably so. But then again, I don't know.
Right.
I'm not really sure on that one.
Do you think we've gone beyond a time in which we can trust what the media tells us ever again?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you look at it now, most people, well, at least the people that I talk to and that do content on here, we don't really pay attention to the media. It's to see what they're telling the people, but mostly we get our information from people that are on the ground and doing certain things from everywhere, all over the country, not specifically the mainstream or things like that.
All right, something else I saw in your content. What is a scare event?
A scare event?
Hmm?
That, oh goodness, that could be a different amount of things. So you can talk about what?
I'm not asking what event would you call a scare event. I'm just meaning in general. What is a scare event?
Generally something to scare the population into doing something. And
so would it be safe to say that you considered the COVID pandemic a scare event?
No, I think that was a test.
Okay.
I think that was a compliancy test, but also a depopulation agenda as well.
Okay. That's I had actually had a follow-up question asking you if you thought it was a test, literally if you thought it was a test to see how well people would comply to doing what the government told them to do. Another basic, do you believe there was ever a time, I don't think ever, but in more recent years that Joe Biden was ever fit to hold office as president?
No, I don't think it was ever fit.
Well, I don't think he was ever fit either, but I had to ask you about more recent times since he held that office for 4 years, whether you believe he earned it or not, because I also don't think he earned it.
No, he was absolutely installed.
I also noticed you post a lot of severe weather content. I know you believe I know you say that you believe the government controls the weather, and I don't disagree. But knowing that, are you something of a weather watcher or a storm chaser?
Mm-hmm. I used to chase tornadoes before I had kids. Like definitely, after the tornado outbreak, and it really got my attention of trying to figure out what the hell it was. And ever since then, I've been following the weather and studying it as much as I can to try to figure out, because things advance so much and they put so much stuff, in the skies and have all this equipment to change the weather. So
Right.
it's something that my interest in. And once my kids are grown or old enough and they want to go chase, I'll take them. I'll probably go back to doing that again. But as of right now, since they're little, no. I just watch and warn people.
Scrapple Pie wants to know if you believe the CIA killed Kennedy, and if not, who and why.
I don't think they particularly killed him, but they were aware of it and they knew it was coming and probably helped plan it. But I couldn't really tell you.
My opinion, CIA was part of the planning of it, but I don't think they carried it out. I think it was probably carried out by organized crime, mafia. They had it because they definitely had a hand in it. And they still only, I mean, it took until 78 for them to even admit that more than one person was involved in it. I don't believe we're ever going to know the truth of what really happened with Kennedy, although I think we'll get closer to it in the coming years. Kickapoo wants to know, what do you think about the movies that they're trying to prepare for? I'm not exactly sure what happened.
I don't understand the question.
Kickapoo, can you try?
They have to tell us in movies and music and stuff like that of the things that they can do, they will do, or plan to do. So yeah, I think they are trying to tell us something.
All right, bet you I am back. Did ask a question and I scrolled back to get it. Beck's question was, she said she may have missed it, and it wasn't asked before. What caused you to become interested in these things?
In interest into what things?
I'm assuming that all the things political, the government control, the necessity for being a homesteader, that kind of stuff.
It first started for me once I was arrested in 2019 and going through, I guess, the system, and it was over something very minor, and it went to the extent that it did to where I had lost everything. And then on top of that, when it come time around the COVID time, the protocols and stuff like that is what really made me dig deeper outside of the justice system, but into the medical field. And that's where a lot of the rabbit holes started appearing for me, was over COVID.
That makes sense. Howard the Duckiest says, do you believe aliens are angels?
Possibly.
Leo, I know you probably came in a little while earlier, but it's good to see you in here, brother. Now, since I know you believe in being very self-sufficient. You are a homesteader. Have you turned away from traditional medicine?
Yes. I haven't stepped foot in a hospital since 2019. Don't do pharmaceutical drugs. Now it's herbs and teas and detoxing and things like that.
Have you found that it has made a difference in your health, generally speaking?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. If
So,
you look past my previous videos, you can see the weight gain, because I used to be so sick and also had other things going, but I was very, very, very tiny and very sick looking. And now being on this diet, you can tell I'm filling out in places where it used to be just bone.
So yeah, that's something I might like to talk to you about later. I still take lots of meds for a variety of reasons, but not the least of which is I've had 2 heart attacks and a stroke, so I still take a lot of meds regarding those. Also, something else I'd like to ask you a little bit about. I know through a conversation with you, you are a survivor of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's not going to be that far back because you're not that old, but was that fairly recent, or is several years past since then?
It's been several years past, and I mean, I still have to deal with him, so the contact is still there over the kids, but it's I've learned to put it aside to where it doesn't come at me anymore.
I don't know. I don't know if you're aware of it, but I am a domestic violence survivor as well. I just been fortunate that the kids we had together are grown, and I don't have to deal with her at all. How long did it take you to get away from that situation?
Right about 6.5 years.
And one last question, and I'll leave this subject alone moving forward, but what advice would you give to someone who's currently in a domestic violence situation now?
Get out. it'll destroy you from the outside in and then the inside out. Just get out. If you have that feeling, leave. If you get that sensation that something is wrong, something is off, don't be quiet about it. Don't go silent. Speak up and get out. And also, Truth, I seen that comment about being under 5 foot. I don't know if that was toward Ducky or what, but
Ducky says, she's always there for you, right, Riley?
yes, ma'am.
I would like to add to the advice part. The thing to remember with abusers is no matter how good your intentions, you're not going to change them. So if you're sticking around thinking they're going to change, then follow her advice and get out as soon as you can, in whatever way it takes for you to get out. Because it doesn't get better; it just continues on. They continue the habits, and it's all about control and so much other ugliness. And it's just best to get away from that as soon as you can. Now, let me ask you a few specific Clapper-specific questions. First question, and I really love asking people this one. If you could change anything about Clapper, what would you change?
The spicy content. I'd get rid of it and go back to the news and the things that it was when it started. I would go back to that.
Gangster Brandy says some abusers don't think they're abusers. Val, I'd go a step further. I've never met an abuser that thought they were an abuser. They all think they're right and everyone else is wrong. That's a sad fact, but that's kind of how it goes. And if you talk to people that were in that situation, the stories are always going to be similar in that respect.
Yep.
All right, Clapper specific. What Clapper creators inspire you, if any?
Oh, I have many. Many from the political side, obviously. Truth. Duck down there who's being a butt sometimes with the fuck face, ma'am. But OG Pop. There's many people like I couldn't list them all, to be honest.
Okay,
There's so
that's fair.
many.
Who outside of Clapper inspires you?
Outside of Clapper?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Never really thought about outside of the app. Probably my kids.
That's a good answer. I know my kids inspire me. Bugs wants to know if you can meet one Clapper creator in person that you may not have already met, who would it be and why?
I'd probably meet Kiki, only because she's from a different country and I can't fly. So I'm bound here, or if I can get there like by driving, Mexico and Canada as far as I can go. So anybody actually from outside of the US. If I could meet any of those people, that'd be great. So I'd go with Kiki because she seems like a lot of fun.
Well, if you can find your way to Indianapolis on Halloween, Gangster Granny will be in country for the wedding of Dark Psycho and her fiance.
Yeah.
In fact, she was here.
She was here.
She's already gone back.
Not too long ago. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she came over and married Ted. And this is a process that she's going to go through the next year or 2 or 3, however long it takes for the countries to figure out, so she can come here and stay here. She'll be back for that wedding and then stay until January, and then she's taking Ted back with her to Scotland. So that ought to be fun for him, fun for her too. They won't be separated for 3 months then.
Is she in here? I know she was in here a second ago. If you're in here, make sure you take videos when he comes over there, because remember, everything is content. Just saying. It'd be hilarious.
Oh yeah, Fear the Reaper, Paul, he'll also be here in October. He's coming for that wedding as well. It'll be my first time meeting him. I'm looking forward to it. If I told you about this one, so I knew you expected it. If you could travel back in time, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Don't take everything to heart because you can't. Just take care of yourself and manage how you react to things, in my own opinion, I guess, and then not worry about everybody else because no one else really gave a shit. In a sense of that way, I would take care of myself and not give so much of myself or to anybody else.
That sounds reasonable to me. Um, Something else I found out of your content. You said you used to be an extreme couponer. What is extreme couponing? How did you get out of it?
How did I get out of it? I moved back to Texas, and couponing here is really really hard because that was, I wouldn't say just like an army wife thing, but that's where it started, was when I was an army wife and we were living paycheck to paycheck. And so I was a stay-at-home mom and wanted to try to figure out how to make, wouldn't say monetary value, but at the time bring more, because I like working. I don't want to fully depend on somebody. And so in my way of going from being this independent person to now being a stay-at-home mom and having to depend on my husband, it was difficult. And so living paycheck to paycheck, and definitely on a military paycheck with 3 kids, I tried to find ways to, I wouldn't say subsidize, but balance, so we can get everything that we wanted to and still have fun. And
Ways to stretch your money so you have more to do other things. I get it. I was raised in a military family I was raised in a military family before I joined, so I totally get that. Bill, welcome in. I know you probably came in a few minutes ago, but I just saw you for the first time. Ducky wants to know, what's your favorite form of digital currency?
I actually don't look into digital currency, surprisingly. That's probably where I failed, or I wouldn't say failed, but that's the one subject that I have not fully went down, was the digital currency or the money process with that.
I got introduced to that early on and just wasn't interested in it. Probably should have gotten into it back then. Tina wants to know, do you like pineapple pizza?
No, absolutely the hell not. Pineapple does not belong on pizza.
It doesn't belong on your pizza, but it certainly belongs on mine. Just We'll have to agree to disagree, Riley.
No.
Strawberry Summers wants to know, are you Team Israel or Team Palestine?
Team America.
Yeah, and what's going on right now, I think there's a lot of wrong to go both ways. Just my personal opinion.
I don't like either one of them. So.
Paul says pineapple belongs on pizza, and he'll die on that hill. Again, that's one of those things, Paul. That's the beauty of what we do. If you want pineapple in your pizza, have it. That doesn't mean that Riley has to have it or that Lena has to have it. I'm going to eat pineapple on my pizza because I love it. But that, just because I love it, doesn't mean she has to.
Fruit don't belong on pizza, but that's an opinion.
Again, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Okay. Go to Hawaii, they'll convince you. Okay.
You're in for you're going to be mistaken. I don't ever have change on me. So anyway,
Tina's comment: tomatoes are fruit.
Well, she's right.
I know.
I haven't really touched on this topic yet, but your opinion on Donald Trump as president? I know it's pretty polarizing. Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, he's been in the spotlight with like all the, the politicians and stuff, but he hasn't, in my opinion, fully been in office, and he's a businessman. And I think that's where a lot of our problems are, is that it's a cycle of money. And so him coming, I think, is good for this country, and to try to set it back on track. It may not be get back to where, we think it should be or we want it to be, but I think it's in a better direction than where it would have been if it went the other way.
Safe to say that you probably understood what he was going for with the tariffs, because the trade imbalance that this country has been experiencing for years and years has been just hype. It's been hemorrhaging money out of our country like crazy. So I couldn't understand all the fear mongering when he started imposing tariffs, and and all those people that are fear mongering still haven't admitted he was right, when suddenly all these countries are sitting down and coming up with different trade agreements that are more balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that the only reason that could happen was because he's not a politician, he's a businessman?
No. Well, anybody has the any politician can do right. It's just, where does their priorities land? What is important to them, and what it looks like is money and power for these people. They're power and money hungry. So if somebody, it doesn't matter Republican or Democrat, if they could just think straight and with common sense, I think it would get them a lot further.
I agree. Bugs, I'm not sure of your question. I'll read it the way you wrote it, but she might ask you to clarify. She said, what are your thoughts on how video ICE now, but didn't follow ICE in the previous parties?
Thoughts on how
What are your thoughts on how people video ICE now, but didn't follow it in the previous parties, probably in the previous administrations, is a safer way to put that. Because a lot of people are trying to trying to do videos and put them in a bad light.
They are, and I think that's also planted and paid for people trying to oppose, trying to get the illegals and the criminals that are not supposed to be here out of this country. I think it is a lot different than what we have seen, but it's because we've had to, for the last 4 years, when, Joe was running things, they had it wide open. And now it's going to take everything that, I guess, can be used to get them out, because there's no telling where they're hiding.
All right, so Scrapple Pie wants to know when you think America was compromised, with the introduction of income tax or the creation of the Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve.
Yeah. And Tina wants to know, she asked, what does your shirt say?
I have no idea. Jay Rita made it. I don't know. Is it mirrored, or do I need to flip it?
It's backwards, so it says, yeah, I can't really tell.
Yeah, I don't know how. Oh, mirror, found it.
Rockin' Horse 13 wants to know what you think of the Florida Alcatraz. Does it say terrapin?
It does. It's just a t-shirt and a shot.
Well, terrapin's it's Maryland's animal, and anyway. Did you get the question from Karen?
The Alcatraz. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Don't do stupid shit, and you won't have to go. Plain and simple.
Yeah. There are some people that would have you believe it's the modern day equivalent of concentration camps, and it's not. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with everything. Terrapin, terrapin, Tina, is I know it's Maryland's animal symbol. I'm not sure what it means with relation to Riley's shirt, though. but it is a cool looking shirt, so I'll give her that.
I just seen turtles, and I like the colors. So
Like Leo lives in Maryland is symbolic of Maryland sports. The University of Maryland is the Maryland Terrapins, for example.
Mm.
Okay, I would like to take a minute now before we finish out the interview and announce my guest for next week. At 3:00 Central Time, just like every week, my guest will be country girl princess Martha to her friends. I'm really looking forward to that. I have her books, so that should be a fun interview. And she's somebody I actually got to meet in person recently, so that was fun.
Oh, that's cool. I see her up there in the corner, or at least, yeah, right there. There she is.
So let me ask you this, Riley. What is your advice to people that are basically turned off by politics and just tune it out?
I mean, that's their own choice, but I wouldn't be so blind to it, because you need to know what's going on, because these people do control your way of life in a way. So you do need to be aware of what's going on, and not maybe not completely understand it, but at least be aware. So if something does, go sideways, at least you're not completely blindsided.
That's fair. And do you think this recent trend, and by recent, I mean last 20, 30 years at least, the political division of people is do you think that's done more to turn people away from being politically aware than just the fact that politicians are boring, for example?
I think more people are aware of politics and what goes on now. Honestly, thanks to COVID, in my opinion. A lot of people woke up during that time, and we had nothing to do but, sit at home. And,
Right.
For me, it's like I just researched. I did nothing but research for a while.
So Bugs wants to know, if you had the money to build your own compound, I assume that should say, would you?
Yeah, I've already started trying to family compound.
Right on. And it is your objective to have that compound to be totally self-sufficient, correct?
Yes. At least that is the plan.
Do you have the means do you have a well on your property so that even that aspect of it is under your control?
I don't have a well per se, but I do have a creek that runs at the back of the property. So it's consistent running water.
Deanna would like to know, how can the USA bring more voters to the polls in the next election?
I actually don't know. Because the more people wake up, the more it won't really matter, because it depends on morals and values at that point, and after it's all exposed, it's hard to get people in. Some people don't want to mess with it. Some people do.
I think we top out at around 55 to 60% of people showing out to vote, regardless of how politically charged the times are we're in, of what's going on. When push comes to shove, you're still going to have about 40 to 45% of people that just can't be bothered to go vote, no matter what's going on. And that's the sad truth of it. But a lot of those 40 to 45% are going to be the ones complaining the loudest as well. Scrapple Pie Returns wants to know, do you think the whites only community in Arkansas is okay?
I don't know how you're wanting me to answer that question. I'm not understanding what he's wanting out of that question.
I don't know either. You have, like I said, people are territorial, and you're going to congregate with people that you relate to. So you're going to have some highly white, highly black, highly Hispanic communities because people associate with what they associate with. I think you're maybe angling to find out, get an answer to determine if she's racist or not. I don't believe that. And that's as far as that question's going to go. Let me, I got to go back to what Tina said because his follow-up question just took out what she said. So give me a minute, y'all. Tina says, damn it. Tell Riley to look into the story about Thomas Kincaid fighting with the Department of Homeland Security.
I will do that. That's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, if they are building a community, Scrapple, if they're building a community for whites only, and that's the only criteria for it is the color of their skin, then that's a racist community. But like I said, I know Riley pretty well. She's not a racist, so trying to get a racist answer out of her, I hope that wasn't your objective. Your other questions have been pretty reasonable, so we'll just leave it at that. If you disagree with it, good. If again you say, was it racist when an even larger black community in Georgia when they did it? If their only criteria for being in the community was the color of their skin, then yes, it's racist.
It's segregation, and now they're trying to take it back in time, which is a problem. If people don't know history, they will repeat it.
Any grouping of people based purely on the color of their skin is a racist grouping, no matter what the color of their skin is. I know it's freedom of association, but if you believe it that way and it's okay, then you're good with what the KKK stood for, and I don't. Any grouping of people based solely on their skin tone is a racist grouping, and I don't care how you paint it, what pretty words you give it, it still is what it is.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, I appreciate you doing that. Asking the question and then letting it go was okay. To continue to ask it, he's just pushing, and I didn't like that. Ducky says,
Aww.
Riley, do you know that I love you long time?
I love you long time.
This interview is probably had the most political questions you'll ever hear me ask. But I like my interviews to go. Oh, don't be. Like I said, I told you when we talked earlier, I like to kind of cater my interviews to what your content is and what I know about you personally. And I feel like I've done that one pretty well. And at this point, I don't have another question. But what I'll let you. Bugs gets the last question. She says, "What's one regret that you have?"
I don't have any, actually. Would I have changed some things a little bit, the way that I went about things? But I don't regret anything because that's how I got to where I am and what's made me who I am, the mistakes and the failures, all of that trial and error. It's made me who I am. So I wouldn't change anything.
Tina, I have not rescheduled American Truth's interview since he stood me up the last time. But I can give him the first Sunday in September if he's interested in being interviewed. In the meantime, Riley, what I'd like to do now is offer you an opportunity to do a shout out, and who or what the subject of shout out is entirely up to you.
Well, shout out to everybody, actually. Like all of my friends that are in here, even if we don't communicate every day, thank y'all for being here or just around and being who you are and giving me the opportunity to have those friends. I really appreciate it. Even with it being, even if you're not political and you're still friends with me and can see past the political content and see who I am. Because I know like my content is political, but like I said, in lives and radios, you see a different person. No, it's not just political. So I think everybody who sees all sides of me, or what I choose to put out, and they see past that.
And that's why I try to present more than just the political side of you, Riley. I'd like to follow that up. First of all, I want to shout you out for agreeing to let me interview you. It's been really a pleasure to do that. I also want to shout out my mods for always helping to keep the interview flowing, keep the questions pinned. Yes, the truth. I'll say it in a minute. And last and not least, I want to shout out Fear the Reaper. Paul, who is my partner in doing these interviews every week. He screen records so that I can post them on YouTube on Wednesday afternoon. Paul, I appreciate you, brother, and I couldn't do this the way I do it without you. Now, truth, what I said was I haven't rescheduled you for an interview since you missed the one I had you scheduled for. I understand life happens, and I'm not mad at you for it. However, if you want to take the first Sunday in September, I will pencil you in for that, and you'll have a date confirmed. And with that, Truth, get with me in the DMs. We'll figure it out. Riley, thank you again for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks, everyone, for being here in support of Riley. She's an amazing person, a dear friend, and I really appreciate you being here. With that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, y'all.